Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, everybody. Sorry about yesterday. There was a small misunderstanding, but welcome to another live space. And today I have a very special guest with me. We have not Satoshi Nakamoto, but we have somebody who idolizes him and has made a t-shirt on his number, no, name and number. They both are significant. So whoever can guess Y21, right, that means they already are in the crypto game. So welcome HgX. Would you please introduce yourself?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Sorry for the little hiccup we had yesterday.
Wait,
We had a little time
before you
swap
introduce, I'll
issue.
tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you what the hiccup was. I planned the stream. I did it after 12 o'clock, not realizing the day has passed. I set up it. So I looked at my clock and set it up on 17th. Somebody and said tomorrow. And somebody pointed out, hey, tomorrow is 16th. I said, oh, edited the original text in Twitter because I can, because I'm a blue tick, not realizing
Right.
there was a text in the image as well. And my dear friend obviously saw that the image still says 17th. So when I contacted him, he said, "Hey, I'm driving right now." I said, "Oops, my bad." So it was my bad.
I'm like,
So
sure, that's excellent. And I put it in my Google Calendar. I'm like, 17 it is.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah, yeah.
actually, yeah, so I'm from Canada. So to go back,
Mhm,
and right now I'm in India.
mhm.
I usually come to India for 6 months. I stay in Canada for 6 months. I like to get out of there when it's too cold, when it's in the winter. And I like to enjoy the weather up here. So I was on IST time. So I assume the rest of the world is also on IST time. That's how Bitcoiners think. So that was a little hiccup. A little about me. Uh, I was born here in India, but I grew up most of my childhood in Canada. I went to university in Canada. I did mechanical engineering. I worked for an automotive company as a concept designer. And then for the last 10 years, I've been crypto mining. And then for the last 4 years, I've been Bitcoin mining. And that's pretty much what I do. I am just heads and tails and everything about Bitcoin mining these days.
Okay, great, great. That's a great introduction. And with that, I have a series of questions already lined up for you. However, before we even start all of them, I wanted to I'll put a disclaimer for everybody that we are not financial planners. And you please contact your financial planner before venturing into the crypto market, as it could result in substantial loss of your capital. We are here trying to give basic education what crypto is, a little bit of a history, and but seriously, crypto is an extremely volatile thing. People can lose money overnight, or they can even become millionaires overnight, right? Like especially Trump coin.
That's right.
That
That's right.
that
That's
that. So,
right.
but it's always a but. So always remember that the number of people who actually make money versus the people who are losing money, it is always disproportionate, right? So that with that, let's begin our space. And the topic for today, as people would have rightly guessed, is demystifying crypto with the HgX. And now I will go with the first question, right? Are you ready?
Hmm. Sure. Maybe we
Okay.
can do this. Let's like maybe we can go through like all like the 4 or 5 questions, so that way it's
Mhm.
more like organized. That way the time lapse like would be
Oh
better.
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah,
instead
yeah,
of
yeah.
just
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect,
So
perfect,
if you don't
perfect.
mind, yeah.
No, 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 no,
So do you mind
perfect.
if I do this? Like,
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
So what
please go
you
ahead. Please
said
go ahead.
here,
Yeah, yeah, please go
right?
ahead.
So maybe we can start with what is the history of Bitcoin and
Mm-hmm,
crypto and who
mm-hmm.
created it. Then we'll
Yep.
get into what is blockchain, its importance and use. Then we're going
Mm-hmm,
to get into what are altcoins and meme coins and how are they different from Bitcoin. And
mm-hmm,
then we're going to get into mining versus purchasing. So when
mm-hmm.
mining is better or purchasing of coins is better. And then at the end,
Yep.
I added a little extra bonus for
Mm-hmm.
you where we can
Okay.
do an ROI breakdown in Australia, Canada, India, and UAE for
Oh,
mining. So that way we can kind of wrap everything up pretty nice and tight like.
yeah, 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 yeah. And there is always Q&A section. If people want to ask questions, they can. So we are live both on Twitter as well as YouTube, right? And so if anybody wants to ask questions, they are more than welcome to ask questions. I think while we are continuing, and you can start with the first question, I'll just shoot it on our known platforms that we are live, so people can. The guys who were
Sure.
pestering me for the link yesterday, they know they know that we are live now. Oh, by the way, your friends wanted the link. I said no, the link is with the relevant person. You just go to my profile and you'll see it. I don't want
Right.
I don't want 10 people waiting here and then saying that I'm not giving them the mic. No, because it's a kind of a wrong, right?
Right,
And
right. No
so
worries, no
right.
worries.
Hmm. Yeah. You please
Yeah,
start.
so you can
So
go
the
ahead with that. Yeah, you can go ahead with
Mhm,
that, and I'll get into the first part of it where. So, what is the history of crypto and more specifically Bitcoin and who created
mhm.
Bitcoin?
Right,
So
right.
let's get into a little bit of the pre-Bitcoin era. So I'm gonna make this. Don't worry, I'm not gonna bore your audience to death. We're gonna go do 1980s to 2008. So
Hmm.
before Bitcoin, there were several attempts at creating this digital money, but they
Hmm.
were lacking key features of centralization and security. So first came David Chaum and DigiCash, which was 1980s to 1990. So Chaum was a cryptographer. He developed the first concept of digital cash with DigiCash in the late 1980s
Hmm.
and using cryptographic protocols to ensure privacy. However, it was centralized and eventually failed. So I'm going to make
Hmm.
all of these nice and cute and short, right? So I don't want to
Right.
bore everybody. So next came eGold, which was 96. It was a digital currency backed by gold, but once again, it was centralized and shut down by the US government due to regulatory issues. Then we
Hmm.
got into Hashcash in 1997, created by Adam Back, who is also referenced in the white paper in Bitcoin. So Hashcash introduced what Bitcoiners like to always talk about, proof of work, which later is actually we'll get into it, which is the critical part of Bitcoin security
Can,
model.
can I ask you this question? The guy's name you just took, is
Sure.
that the same guy who is Australian?
Adam Back, no, I'm not sure if he is or not, but
There
I'm
was one
pretty sure that
Australian
looks.
who said, "I
Mhm.
know," and he was there from the starting. He said, "I know
Oh,
who the."
Craig,
Uh,
right? Yeah.
yeah, I thought it
The
was
fake
this guy.
Satoshi, we like to call him. Yeah, I don't want to
Yeah,
give
yeah,
him
yeah,
too
yeah,
much
yeah,
publicity.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
guy.
yeah. He was an Australian. He was an Australian. So
Okay.
I know about him. And back
Uh
in
huh.
2014 or 15, he made some waves, making some bold claims.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So,
So,
like as you might notice, the Bitcoin maxi they don't like him very much because he likes to claim himself as a real Satoshi when he in fact is a fraud and he's been legally proven to be a fraud, right? So we try to like not like mention his name and not give him any any flowers.
before we go into
So,
the name Satoshi, right? I
mhm,
want you
mhm.
to continue with the people you were
So, yeah, I'm
saying.
almost done. I'm almost done. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
prehistory. So it wasn't like
Hmm.
Satoshi just came up with this overnight. There were plenty of attempts before in the
Hmm.
1980s, leading up to 2008, and
Hmm.
it was basically the cyberpunk movement. Was
Hmm.
they theorized that when we get the internet, eventually we'll not have any freedom of speech. We won't have everything will be centralized like it is
Hmm.
now So they were constantly looking for this solution, right? Where it's DigiCash,
Right.
eGold, HashCash. The next came B Money and BitGold.
Mm-hmm.
So Wei Dai and Nick Spazzo with BitGold,
Mm-hmm.
they proposed a
Yeah.
decentralized digital currency, but they were never, it was never fully implemented. But BitGold has a lot of similarities to Bitcoin, right? So there are some rumors that, hey, it might be him, who is
Mm-hmm.
Satoshi, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so then came 2008, right? So that's when Bitcoin was created by an anonymous person or a group, we don't know, under the pseudonym
Right.
Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
in October 31st, 2008, Satoshi published a white paper and he sent it to the cypherpunk. It was like a mailing list back in the day. You would
Yeah. Yeah.
mail
Yeah.
your white papers in, and it's the famous
How many
Bitcoin, a
pages
peer to
was
peer
that?
electronic.
How many
Nine
pages was that
pages,
white paper?
right?
It wasn't. It wasn't big. It wasn't big. It was
No, it wasn't big at
hardly.
all. And the 9 pages of reference page, so it's basically 8 pages. And what he solved was a 200-year software problem, not even software, 200-year-old problem, which was thought to be never to be solved. It was called the Byzantine generals problem. So basically, that problem is there's three generals, and they're trying to invade a city and they're trying to send each other messages. But how does one general trust the message he's getting from the other two generals? Right.
Correct.
So if
Correct.
they're trying to invade the city, let's say at 6 p.m., we're trying to invade Sydney, right? I need to tell the other three generals, hey, we need to do this all at the same time. But how do you know that I'm not sending you into an ambush? Right? You
Yeah.
can't trust that message, or how do you know that message hasn't been tampered with or altered? So that was
Yeah.
called the Byzantine generals problem, and it was thought to be unsolved. It can never be solved.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
was then, and then he came along and he said, "Hey guys, guess what? I did it. I solved the Byzantine generals problem."
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
So that's what he did with a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, is the first line in the white paper,
Mm-hmm.
and so we'll get into the detail later on. And in
Right. Right.
January 3rd, so that was October 31st, 2008.
Mm-hmm.
So by
Yeah. Yeah.
January, he wrote the white paper, and
Right.
we can assume he was working on the code. Right now, it was just theoretical, so nothing had
Mm-hmm.
happened. It was just theoretical. It was just on paper. Then January 3rd, 2009, the
Mm-hmm.
first Bitcoin block, called the Genesis block, which is block zero, was mined.
Mm-hmm.
And it was containing a hidden message referencing a financial crisis. So it was a headline from a newspaper, and it reads, The Times, 3rd January 2009, Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. Right? So this was the big eureka moment we have to assume this was a big eureka moment for him, where he had enough. The first bailout, sure, we'll allow that. But the second bailout, Mr. Nakamoto said, all right, enough is enough. I've had enough. And then
So by the
he
time
minted the
Lehman
first
Brothers,
Genesis block.
yeah, right, right, right. So first,
Right.
so
So
Lehman Brothers would
I'm
have
not
already
sure about the
collapsed.
Lehman Brothers timeline. Right, right. Yes. And we have to assume, because he put the chancellor on the brink of the second bailout for banks, like he was already pissed off that the banks had their first bailout,
Right,
right? We have to
right, right.
assume that because it was inside the Genesis block. So anytime you start a node and anyone runs a Bitcoin
Right.
node, that's the first block every node around the world has. And inside that node
Yeah.
was that message. And then January
So
12th, we had the first Bitcoin transaction
how big was the
to
block?
Hal Feeney.
How big was the? So
Back
before
then,
we
it was
go
just
go
one
into,
meg block, sure.
mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
yeah, it's a one meg block. And back then, internet was, it wasn't what we have now. The hard drive space isn't what we have now. Now,
yeah,
there are some people who have dug really deep into it, and we can assume that he did it at a university, right? Because he needed some sort of computing power. So he must have done it there. He started mining. He started the first block in
mm-hmm.
January 3rd. And then by January 12th, there was a first Bitcoin transaction to a famous
Mm-hmm.
cryptographer who was
Mm-hmm.
on the American side. And
Mm-hmm.
his name is Hal Feeney. And yeah, So that was the earliest. He was one of the earliest supporters. And
Right, right,
then
right.
by 2010, Bitcoin was beginning to trade. You had the first commercial transaction that took place
The pizza transaction,
by a
correct?
That's right. That's right. Laszlo Hanzak, he bought two pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin, right? And
Bitcoins, yes.
at that
But
moment, Bitcoin had a
no,
peg.
you got to slow this down because this is a
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
momentous
Yeah,
thing.
so this is
So
very interesting, right? Because before this, it's all theoretical. Before this,
yeah,
you just have a bunch of geeks and nerds who are mining this thing, making their
4chan and
computers
Reddit
really
people.
hot.
Yeah, 4chan and
Right. So
Reddit
what
people.
happened was, that's right. And what happened was these laptops, they were running it on laptops, and these laptops would get really,
I ran
really
it on a
hot.
laptop. So I ran it on a laptop, right?
Hmm.
Back
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
2011 or 12, right? And I can tell
Wow.
you
Okay.
because at that point of time there was no mining pool or anything, right? And I came to
No,
know about
no,
this,
no.
right? So what
Hmm.
I did
Hmm.
was I had a Asus laptop. I still have that. I don't think it was the Asus. I think it was a laptop before that because I'll tell you the sad story about it. So I
Uh-huh.
found this. So I was in between jobs. So what I did was I downloaded the software. It was a DOS based software, right? Command line
Right.
software, right? And you run it, and they gave instructions that you need to download the ledger. Now, ledger is where every
Hmm.
Bitcoin transaction is done, right?
Correct.
It would
Correct.
be in pennies at that point of time. Bitcoin, there wasn't even a trade happening at 2011.
I don't even think there
So
was a trade. No,
no,
I
there was
guess
no
by
trade.
when you started it, there was a trade. The pizza was already bought. Bitcoin
Yeah.
had
The
its
pizza was
peg.
what, but no exchanges or anything.
That's
So what
right.
happened was,
That's
yeah,
right.
but at that point of time, you had to download the whole ledger. So I was on
Hmm. Hmm.
ADSL connection, right, which is like
Right.
5 or 7
Right.
megs, right. It took
Right.
me 1.5 days to download. I think it was 1.1 gig. That was the ledger size.
Wow.
By ledger size, I
Hmm.
mean that is every transaction ever done till then was captured in that ledger file. So you had to download the ledger before you could mine it. That's how it was written in
Correct.
the. I think it was on Reddit, if I read it, if I'm not wrong, or 4chan, one of
Okay,
these channels. I
that's
think
right.
Reddit.
What you have to do is you have to get to the tip of the chain, they call it.
Yeah,
You have to get to the
yeah,
latest block that
yeah,
you mine, but you can't really do that unless
yeah.
you start from the Genesis block, you get to
Yeah.
block one, block
Yeah,
two, block three,
right.
you download all the
So
blocks, and then when you get to the tip is when you start
yeah,
mining back in the day.
yeah.
Yep.
So I ran it for 2.5 days, right? And then I
Okay.
just shut it down. Now people tell me I would have at least got 50 bitcoins. Now comes the sad part, right? After
Mm,
6 7
mm,
months, I told it to few people, and no, after I said this is something coming. You should look into it, right? And there are few
right.
of my friends who bought it. That was 100 or 200 it had reached, right? And some of them
Right.
made really good money. I think they all sold a little bit early, but they made, and they
I
keep
bet.
laughing at me. They keep because they say, "Why did you do?" I was too lazy that time. I was too lazy, right? And
That's it.
I don't know. So I had a laptop which was a Lenovo laptop that time, which was, well, it used to shut down, right? So I sent
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
back because it was under warranty, and they refunded me. And then I got the Asus. So I still have that Asus laptop, right, with the original hard drive. I once went and
Okay.
told people to because I'm not sure it was that laptop, it was this laptop. So the guy said, if you can find that ledger, we are sure if you ran it for a day and a half, you would have got minimum 25 to 50 bitcoins because at the time frame you're saying, even the laptops used to
Ooh,
mine that much. So
wow.
I have that.
So you
One
not
day
even the
you and I will
ledger.
sit. We will try to hack
Sure.
that laptop. I have that hard drive with
And
me. Now you
it's
never know.
perfect. So here's the thing. You wouldn't need the ledger. What back in the day it was a .dat file. It would be a wallet, and if you do a search in your Windows, if you boot up that laptop, do
Yeah,
a .dat search, and that would pull up your wallet file, right?
yeah. So
And that's where your private key would be.
yeah, what is that dot? Because, why? Okay, so I need to say something more. So how I
Hmm.
found HgX was there is yeah. मैं इसको ना mix कर देता हूँ हिंदी और English में because I've got
No
mixed
worries, no
audio.
worries.
हाँ
Yeah,
तो फॉर ऑल दी देसी भाई, हमारा इनका एक बहुत अच्छा चैनल चलता है ट्विटर पे जिसका नाम है देसी बिटकॉइन शो, और इन सब का एम है कि इंडियंस को एजुकेट किया जाए अबाउट क्रिप्टो करेंसी, राइट। एंड वहीं जाके मैं पहली बारी इन सब से मिला था, ठीक है। और मैं इनसे हमेशा पंगे लेता रहता था फॉर रीजन मैं बाद में
yeah.
बताऊंगा। आई यू शोइंग इट? मैं नीचे वो भी लगा दूंगा, आई पुट दैट, या दैट इज द देसी बिटकॉइन शो। ये सारे वॉलंटियर्स हैं, दे डोंट टेल यू टू बाय एनीथिंग, ये सारे बिटकॉइन प्योरिस्ट हैं, तो इनके लिए बाकी सब कुछ, देयर इज अ टर्म दे यूज, विल कम बैक, जो फोर्थ क्वेश्चन थर्ड क्वेश्चन है उसमें व्हाट दे कॉल इट, बट then why I like them, मुझे क्यों अच्छे लगे, because they always never promoted any exchange or this, ये तो कहते हैं exchange से खरीदो भी मत, सब ऑफलाइन करो, एंड they are just about educating, कोई सेल
That's
नहीं,
right.
कुछ नहीं, कोई मीम कॉइन नहीं, कुछ नहीं। और ये तो जहां मेरी इनसे लड़ाई होती है, एक टर्म बाद में आएगी, होल्डलर्स, होल्डर नहीं होल्डलर्स, वो एक स्पेलिंग एरर है, ही विल
Hodlers.
टेल यू वो होल्डलर टर्म कैसे आई थी, और मेरी इनसे क्यों लड़ाई होती रहती है वो भी ये बताएंगे, बिकॉज मैं इनकी स्ट्रैटेजी से एग्री नहीं करता, पूरा डिसएग्री नहीं करता, बिकॉज बट मैं एग्री, फुली एग्री नहीं करता, वो बाद में आएंगे, बट दैट इज द हिस्ट्री ऑफ दिस। आई वुड हाईली रेकमेंड देसी बिटकॉइन शो, आप सर्च कीजिए, गो ज्वाइन देम, एंड जस्ट गो, वहां पर जाके सिर्फ लिसनर में बैठ के सिर्फ सुनिए। ये बाहर से भी लोगों को लेके आते हैं, इंडियंस तो लेके आते ही हैं, और अगर इनको बोलोगे भाई आप प्लीज लैंग्वेज हिंदी कर दीजिए तो ये कर भी देंगे, वैसे ये ज्यादा अंग्रेज होते हैं वहां पर, बट हिंदी में भी बात करते हैं। और आपको कोई भी क्वेश्चन हो आप पूछिए, ये इन आपको एक जवाब देंगे विदाउट सेलिंग यू एनीथिंग, राइट। जिस दिन मुझे पता चला कि वहां सेलिंग होने लग गई है, आई विल बी द फर्स्ट पर्सन टू कॉल इट आउट, बट आई थिंक when did you start Bitcoin show? Because इसके
So
पहले,
we started this. Yeah, we started this almost 2 years ago. I can't believe it's
yeah,
been 2 years. So I was actually one of the founding members, and I
yeah.
started the channel.
When
I'm
did
the
I start
one who
coming there?
came
Mhm.
pretty late. So we were in the bear market when we first hit
Yeah,
our first.
yeah.
If you look at the all-time chart, it was the first time we went down to like 20s. That's when we started. So we started in the bear market. I am one of the first person to start the channel. But there's 8 of us, 10 of us who run it. Like I said, like you said, we don't shill anything. That's our number one
Mhm.
rule. We don't, none of us sell you anything. And our main thing was there's so many English spaces on Bitcoin and crypto. We wanted a Desi channel. We wanted where you can speak in Hindi. I do Gujarati spaces, so I am not very good in Hindi, but I want Gujarati में
But
बोलूँ
enough
है
of people,
तो
काफी लोग
आप
हैं। Hmm.
okay, yeah, तो वो
Enough of
गुजराती में
people who
अपन
can
channel
speak in
करूँ.
Hindi, right? So
Right, right.
please,
So we have enough
one of the,
people, and
yeah.
we talk about everything. Back in the day, we used to do technical spaces. Friday was a
Mhm,
beginner space.
mhm.
Wednesday, we used to do women only spaces. Thursday, we would do developer spaces, and Saturday we would do like a family friendly show. Now a lot of the members have moved on, but there's still a strong committee keeping the spaces alive. And yeah, like you said, we talk about everything. You can come up, you can ask us any questions you want. We're not going to sell you anything, but we'll address any questions you want, anything from beginner to advanced
Yeah,
level, Bitcoin or crypto.
yeah, yeah. But just a quick question for the people watching. If
Hmm.
there is any problem with the sound, my sound, somebody said that I'm too low, तो मुझे बता देना. I'll be closer to the mic. बस just put it in the comments कि अगर मेरी आवाज कम आ रही है कि नहीं, तो और HgX की आवाज कम आ रही है तो बता दीजिएगा. We'll adjust it accordingly on this one. So let's go back to our first question. That is the history of
Hmm.
Bitcoin. So
History of
nobody
Bitcoin.
knows कि Satoshi, no, what is that? Satoshi Naka. I always
Satoshi
say his last name.
Nakamoto.
Nakamoto. Yeah.
Naka.
एक वो भी देखा था कि they started combining the first letters of few of the Japanese companies और बोला था कि ये S for
Mm,
Sony
I've
and
seen that meme.
Toshiba.
Yeah, I've
Yeah,
seen that meme.
Toshiba. Yeah, yeah. But people make things. So now coming back, बिटकॉइन इज नॉट एन अनलिमिटेड सप्लाई जो ये बना था, जिस जिस मैथमेटिकल लॉजिक से बना था, देर वाज अ
Hmm.
फाइनाइट, मतलब एक लिमिटेड सप्लाई थी। वो सप्लाई का
Hmm.
नंबर क्या है?
Hmm.
What is the number, final number? Exactly. So now you know that 21 million for those in India जो million नहीं यूज करते, 1 million हो गया 10 लाख, ठीक है? तो 21 million
Hmm.
हो गया 2 करोड़ 10 लाख, करेक्ट? 2 करोड़ टेन
Correct.
लाख हाँ, हाँ, 2 करोड़ 10 लाख, 2 करोड़ 10 lakhs is the total amount of bitcoins that can be mined, ठीक है? और
That's right.
माइनिंग क्या, या और माइनिंग ये क्या होती है, मतलब कोई कोई क्या फावड़ा लेके खोदता है, क्या करता है? व्हाट इज माइनिंग? व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय माइनिंग?
Mhm.
If you could
Okay,
slightly explain.
we'll get to that. We'll
Oh,
definitely
we'll get
get
to
to
that.
that,
All right,
right?
fair enough.
So yeah,
Fair enough.
yeah, yeah. Because we're like, if I go from history, then we're like, let's keep it to
No,
the
no, no.
history, and then
You
for
follow your
sure,
chain.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You
Okay,
follow your
yeah, yeah.
trend.
So we just
If I'm good to go.
finished like, yeah, 2010. We just finished Laszlo buying two pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. So what happened now was before Bitcoin was just theoretical. Now it got its peg. Right now, it was pegged to some real currency and
Mm-hmm.
not just any currency, the US dollar. It was bought for like two Papa John pizzas, cost 10,000 Bitcoin back in the day, but
Mm-hmm.
now it finally had its peg. So then what happened was Bitcoin was used. I mean, I know you probably all heard about it in the Silk trade, in the Silk Road. It was
Yeah.
an illegal marketplace and for where you could buy, contraband and whatnot. And because it was no agency could stop you and it wasn't centralized, they obviously went to Bitcoin, right? Then came the WikiLeaks. They
Yeah.
were getting donation in Bitcoin when he started leaking all government files. So that's when it came into everybody's like kind of subconscious and the general knowledge, right? So that was Bitcoin, and then post Bitcoin, so 2011, you had other cryptocurrencies emerge, such as Litecoin and Namecoin.
Mm-hmm.
Then in 2013 to 2017, we got the rise of Ethereum, right?
Yeah.
Where Vitalik he
So
introduced smart contracts.
are you saying
Mhm.
Ethereum came after Litecoin?
Yes, yes, yes. Litecoin was one of the first ones, and Namecoin was one of the first ones in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
The rise of Ethereum came in 2015. Like that was when the introduction to smart contracts and allowing dApps, which are decentralized applications,
Yeah.
really took. It's yeah. So
Where
yeah,
you
yeah.
can use its network, you can ride on its network to create your own coins using the smart contract
That's
system.
right.
So
That's
ये बड़ा
right.
जरूरी
That's
है,
right. That's
ये
what
बड़ा
Vitalik
जरूरी है,
did.
because people need to
Hmm.
understand there is a fundamental difference between a Bitcoin, a Litecoin, they'll be in the same, versus Ethereum, versus, if I'm not wrong, Solana. You can correct me if I'm
Hmm.
wrong,
Hmm.
and also
Hmm.
Ripple. Ripple, जिसको
That's right.
XRP बोलते हैं. That's one of my favorite
Hmm.
altcoins. Uh, and Dodge. Dodge क्या है? Dodge coin है ना, कि Dodge भी
So I was
contract
gonna
है?
get to that. Yeah, yeah. We'll get to
Yeah,
that
yeah,
in the meme
yeah,
coin
yeah,
side.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
when we go to altcoins, you please explain ki what are smart contracts and how they are different
Sure.
from coins. So, coin versus
Sure.
contracts, why they took that route versus why they did
Hmm.
not go the same route as Bitcoin did, right? So, why did
Bitcoin. Okay.
yeah? So because
So
it's
Bitcoin.
technically a fork. It's a fork. A fork भी नहीं बोल
Yeah, okay,
सकते.
so it gets a little bit, I'll get in a little bit deeper into that. So, what Litecoin is, was they took Bitcoin, they hard forked it, he tweaked a little bit of the code around, he made faster blocks. So, he didn't want to wait
Mhm.
for 10-minute blocks, he wanted faster blocks, he wanted a bigger supply. So, he just changed the little things around and he marketed himself as silver to Bitcoin's gold. So, that's why in the early 2011s, it really boomed off. Now, so the difference is what Bitcoin is a non-Turing language. So if you get into like people who are software engineers, the Bitcoin script can't really do much else just to push the script up. Where that's where Vitalik thought, hey, I need a I need a Turing language blockchain where I can build on top of it. I can do smart contracts where if B, and C are met, then B happens. Right. So that's basically the very basics of a smart contract.
Right.
Where in Bitcoin, that doesn't exist. In Bitcoin, you have inputs and output. That's it. That's the only thing you have in
I
control, and the block moves up a stack. There,
right.
there isn't anything you can do fancy. I mean, now there is. There's a bunch of people building on top of it, but we'll leave that to later or other
You're talking
spaces
about
because
the
then we'll
wrapper.
get way too technical
Yeah.
into it,
Yeah.
right?
वो नहीं
So,
I don't want it to be technical, but वो जो आपने Turing बोला, if you could expand
huh.
a little bit on the Turing logic.
Sure. It's just basically Vitalik Buterin, like he grew up he went to Waterloo University, which is a
Hmm.
university that's it's 2 hours from my house. So I'm from
Right.
Toronto, like
Right.
that's so over there, there was a lot of blockchain. Even back in the day, you could see a lot of blockchain theories coming out of there. And what
Okay.
he wanted was basically to create applications on top of the chain, right? So you could go to layer two, you could go to layer threes, and that way, and then when you finally go down to layer one, all three layers can talk to each other. Where that's not really what Bitcoin does. Bitcoin was just trying to be money, where he was trying to be, in the early days, he was trying to be the world computer. So it's very
Right.
hard to do that. Oh, it's very hard to do that when you don't have a non-Turing language or Bitcoin script. And you can't do anything with Bitcoin script other than just move up the stack. So he decided that, you know what, and Ethereum's not really it technically is not a hard fork. It's just a brand new blockchain he created. There's a DAO, so they did an 80% pre-mine. So they pre-mined a bunch of coins for themselves for future development and
Yeah.
whatnot, and to use the public for exit liquidity. And so that's how they were going to scale, and that's how he wanted. And he was the first one to do it, and now Solana is doing it. They do it for less prices. Solana has a lot more. I mean, they don't have the gas fees and everything that Ethereum does. And back in the day, Ethereum used to be a proof of work coin. And like
Yeah.
I mentioned before, I used to mine crypto. I used to mine Ethereum right back before I turned into a Bitcoin maxi, uh, like during COVID-19, a year before COVID-19. And that's a story on its own, how I turned into full on Bitcoin maxi. But yeah, back then I
There are some
was,
messages for you, HgX. It says hello,
uh-huh.
bro, and the next one he says, sell कर दो भाई XRP अपने. So sell your XRP.
Oh,
Man,
now I see it. Okay.
I sold my XRPs, and that's a funny story how they automatically got sold because I had set up a price at 1.4 months back. I got so sick and tired of holding them for so many years. I bought a set at peak, and I set it up. I said, "Yeah, आएगा तो कभी नहीं." And then one day I said, see messages, ping, 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 all executed. And then
There
it
you
went on a
go.
bull run. और वो मेरे से 2.5 times हो गया. मैं कहा चल ठीक है यार, बिक गया, गया
That's the
ठीक है,
life.
कोई
That's
टेंशन
the life of
नहीं.
crypto. That's the life of crypto. When you get into altcoins,
For 4 months
that's
it
the
was
life you
lying
choose.
there. For 4 months it was lying there, and then suddenly it got. Well, I was not expecting it to go there, but yeah, that is crypto. Yeah, no, please continue.
Right. So, yeah, 2017, we had 2017 to 2020, we had the Bitcoin reach mainstream awareness with like institutional growth. And we had a lot of ICOs back then, right? Many of these cryptocurrencies you see right now, a lot of their ICOs were in 2017, 2020, where you gave them
ICO का
Bitcoin.
full form है.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I need to
Initial
the
coin offerings.
jargons.
Sorry. Initial
Initial
coin
coin
offering.
offering. So what they do is they most probably create a website. They
Hmm.
create a white paper जो basically
Hmm.
बताता है what this coin or smart contract is about and what are their intentions. ठीक है, कभी कोई
Hmm.
एक environmental coin निकला था, कोई कुछ निकला था. So the people can get means excited about it. A lot of times they pre-mine a portion of coins like 10%, 20%, 30%, जिसमें से एक पोर्शन जो क्रिएटर है वो रखता है. They may have 5% for promotions, 7%, 10%, or they may give 5% to the marketing people who are doing it, and
Hmm.
another 10% for people initial. Ki bhai, you register and you'll get 100 coins, right?
That's
Because there's
right.
no value at that point of time.
That's
So
right.
that's what they do in ICO. Not always, but that's generally been the trend of how ICOs for the past few years have been going. और अगर आपने मीम कॉइन वगैरह देखा, वो तो खैर दूसरा ही आजकल एक प्लेटफॉर्म यूज होता है, but we'll get to that later.
We'll get into
Continue.
that as well. Yeah, so then 2021, the president, we hit Bitcoin hit new highs. We have institutions like Tesla and MicroStrategy who are holding it, BTC as treasury assets, and then there's regulatory scrutiny around the
No,
world.
no, you missed.
Did we?
You missed you missed two twins. Two twins
Mm-hmm.
who hold the highest second
Ah,
reserve of Bitcoin. If they have not sold it till now, and
right.
they are very famous.
The word
The
I always butcher
Wilkinson
their name. Is it the Wachowski? What how do
Wilkinson brothers.
There it is. That's the name. I always butcher their name. Yep. So
Yeah.
they
So
were
ये
in Bitcoin
Wilkinson
very
brothers
early.
कौन थे?
Hmm. They
Yeah, yeah. So
were
who were they? If you
Silicon
could give a
Valley
bit of a
guys, right?
history.
I see. I think
Yeah.
I don't know too much about them, but they're Silicon Valley guys, right? And they got into Bitcoin
I'll
really.
give an update. I'll give an update.
Sure. You yeah.
I'll
You
give an
take that.
update.
You take this. Yep.
So the Wilkinson brothers are two twins. ठीक है? They were studying with the guy whose thing you use every day, Hindustan mein to, that is called WhatsApp right now. He didn't make it. He purchased it a few years back. And he owns a company called Meta. Agar if it still has not rung a bell, we are
Mm.
talking about the guy who owns Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. So these were the guys who originally came with the idea. Okay? And then Mark Zuckerberg, along with them, then also अगर किसी ने the social network देखा है तो उनको story पता है, जिन्होंने नहीं देखी quickly, then he teamed with this guy, the guy who formed Napster. अगर आप थोड़ी भी उम्र वाले हो, तो मैं तो सिर्फ 23 साल को, इसलिए मेरी उम्र तो 23 के बाद बड़ी नहीं, इसलिए I wasn't there when Napster was, but ये हमारे HgX थे जब
Boy.
Napster था. The guy who created Napster, I'm just forgetting his name, he came, he saw it, and he said कि यार पहले इनका होता था the Facebook, इसने कहा the गिराओ, and he gave them a whole plan. Because वो Napster से तभी निकला था, Metallica उसके पीछे पड़ गई थी, and all those things. I won't get into that detail. And he saw an opportunity, और उसने फिर जो Facebook किया, somehow these guys got kicked out, and ये कोर्ट गए थे, and if I am not wrong, they obviously won the court case. They were supposed to be paid 60 million उस टाइम पे, और इन्होंने कहा था I think 20 million in stocks and 40 million in cash. So I'm not sure if they still own the stocks or not. Somebody can tell us. And जो उनको 40 million मिला था, that time Bitcoin was very cheap. And इन्होंने सारा पैसा majority अपना Bitcoin खरीदने में लगा दिया.
Wow.
I don't know if they have sold it or not, but they were the biggest holder of Bitcoin apart from the creator Satoshi Nakamoto. And Satoshi ने जो create किया है, that blockchain, मतलब जो block है, that has never moved. Meaning
That's
वो
right.
उसमें आज तक कभी transaction नहीं हुई है. And how big is that block?
So here's how
It's
it
the
happens.
biggest.
So when blocks were first coming out, you were getting 50 Bitcoin. So he has, okay, so everybody thinks it's one wallet or one block that has all his Bitcoin, which is not true. What is the truth is there's multiple wallets, but if you add them all up, because he was mining when the blockchain first
Yeah.
started, you have 1 million Bitcoin. He is in charge, or he is responsible for 1 million Bitcoin that he has full control of, right? So
Around 19% of the Bitcoin.
and that has
19% of the Bitcoin.
never ever moved, not in a
And when the
transaction. Mhm.
Wilkinson brothers bought it, I think they bought 7% of the Bitcoin at that point of time. I can double check, but they
Okay.
bought a very big chunk. Or abhi tak, to get people's hope down, आई थिंक 19 प्लस मिलियन प्लस बिटकॉइन अभी तक माइन हो चुके हैं आउट ऑफ
That's
21
right.
मिलियन.
That's right. So over
If I,
90% of the 21 million has already, the issuance schedule has made it. So right now we're only, for the next 100 years, we are only mining the last 9% of the 21 million. Right. So all of it is already out. You can say almost all of it is out. 90% of the Bitcoin are already out in the
how much
free
is in
market. In the next,
circulation? How much is
all
in
of it.
circulation?
Well,
Because no,
okay, so
not all
here
of
are
it.
some of the rough
देखो
numbers. No, no,
1
I'll give you
million तो
rough numbers. I'll
circulation में
give
है
you,
नहीं. Hmm.
yeah, I know. So I'll give you some of the rough numbers. I just looked this up. That's pretty crazy you asked me that question. I just looked it up this morning. So we have around 1.5 million, which are thought to be lost, right? Which are coins that are thought to be lost, and 1.5 million that are yet to be mined, and the rest are all out there. Right now, we have
Yeah.
MicroStrategy, and we have Michael Saylor owning some of them. We have North Korea owning some of them. We have the U.S. Treasury owning some of them. We have some whales like the two
Yeah.
twins owning, and we would never know if they sold or not because it's pseudonymous, right? Unless you know unless you're positive that their wallet is theirs, and we would never know. And if they stayed anonymous, so the chain in itself is pseudonymous, but you can stay anonymous using several tactics inside the chain that you can create multiple wallets,
Now
right? People here,
this this
go
brings me
ahead.
to the very important point.
Mhm,
Wallets
mhm,
wallets for everybody is like जहां पर it's like an address.
mhm,
हर कॉइन का अलग एड्रेस होता है. इट्स लाइक एन एड्रेस. इट्स अल्फा न्यूमेरिक काइंड ऑफ एन एड्रेस. ठीक है. अगर
mhm.
आप मेरे ट्विटर के अगर आप इफ यू आर वाचिंग मी ऑन ट्विटर देयर इज अ मनी साइन एंड यू कैन लाइक काइंड ऑफ अ टिप और दिस यू कैन क्लिक ऑन इट तो आपको दो एड्रेस नजर आएंगे. एक इथेरियम का नजर आएगा, एक बिटकॉइन का आएगा. राइट. इफ यू वांट टू उसमें आएगा. इफ यू वांट टू tip and that I'm not saying you do it, I'm just telling you so you can see the how the addresses look like.
Mhm.
Every address is unique. You can generate addresses very easily, and that is why is Bitcoin or why are cryptocurrency on whole so popular with everybody. I think we need to address that question first.
Mhm. Mhm.
कि भाई why is the world crazy about cryptos? They have the देखो for everybody. uh, एक we'll use some terms तो आप used हो जाओ. There is a term called fiat currency. Fiat
Mhm.
currency is basically your standard currency. डॉलर हो गया, पाउंड हो गया, रुपी हो गया. इसको जो ट्रेडिशनल करेंसी उसे fiat currency बोलते हैं. And these are crypto, which includes everything. Bitcoin is part of the crypto pool. जैसे कहते हैं ना कि all scotches are whiskeys, but all whiskeys are not scotch. वैसे all bitcoins are cryptocurrencies, but all cryptocurrencies are not Bitcoin,
That's
right?
right.
So that is very important,
That was a
right? So
great
that is
analogy.
the difference.
I'm
And
gonna have to write that down. That's a great analogy. So why? Okay, so before we get into what is blockchain, we'll address why is everybody getting into crypto. I think you addressed it. I think a lot of the millennials and younger, they see a problem with fiat, right? Where the boomers, I don't think my dad sees a problem with fiat. He was there before 1971 when we were still on the gold standard. He made his money through the Clinton administration and the boom after 1971. So
1 second. Yeah, I'll keep interrupting you. I'm so
no,
sorry I
no, no,
do
I
that
love it. I love it.
because you're
Okay.
dropping nuggets, and it's not necessary we complete all four questions
No,
because
so
it
can
is
you
best to
go
set up the
and
base.
sure, would you like to address the 1971 or the boomers? Why don't you take
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
boomer?
yeah, yeah, yeah. The gold standard, that is very
Sure.
important because that will set up the context of this invisible printing of money and
That's right.
unlimited printing of money, because that puts the foundation why the hardcore crypto guys or bitcoiners, right, believe that fiat currency या जो डॉलर है जो भी है वर्ल्ड के जितने भी करेंसीज हैं are a flawed currency system. Sorry, I'm getting noise from your end. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Before,
I was trying to
yeah,
mute.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I
I
can
think
mute or not.
देखो क्या हुआ था कि
Huh.
वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद there's a place in US called the Fort Knox, right? तो
That's
यूएस ने
right.
कहा कि पहले जितनी भी करेंसी होती थी, इफ यू आर प्रिंटिंग $100, राइट, उस पर लिखा होता था यू कैन गो एंड टू द बैंक एंड आस्क द बैंक फॉर गिविंग यू द दिस अमाउंट ऑफ गोल्ड इन रिटर्न, बिकॉज आप उतनी ही करेंसी प्रिंट करते थे जितना आपके पास गोल्ड रिजर्व था. सो द टर्म गोल्ड रिजर्व वहां से आता है. You could not endlessly print money if you did not have the equal amount of reserve. तो आपका जो भी आपकी करेंसी थी, इट वॉज पेग्ड, मतलब इट वॉज बैलेंस विद द अमाउंट ऑफ रिजर्व यू हैव. तो वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के बाद हमारे यूएस भाई साहब ने बोला कि यार तुम सबकी कंट्रीज तो बर्बाद हो गई, अटैक होता है, मैं सबसे बड़ा सुपर पावर हूं, मैंने यहाँ पर एक बहुत बड़ा किला बनाया जिसका नाम ही मैंने फोर्ट नॉक्स रखा है, आप सारे आओ, एक पोर्शन ऑफ अपना जो रिजर्व है मेरे यहाँ पर सुरक्षित रखो फॉर फ्री. आई डोंट नो इफ दे चार्ज यू
Gold
मनी, आई
reserve.
थिंक फ्री
And
में
to be
होता है.
specific, gold reserve.
हाँ,
Send us all your gold.
yeah, that is the gold.
Uh,
Yeah,
Continue. Yeah,
yeah.
it's great.
We will be holding it. We will be holding it on your behalf, right? तो
Yep.
वहां से वो गोल्ड रिजर्व स्टैंडर्ड चला, ठीक है, इट कंटिन्यूड. फिर आई थिंक निक्सन के टाइम पे, इफ आई एम नॉट रॉन्ग,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
71 जो भी बोल रहा है, दैट वाज वन ऑफ द फाइनल ब्लोज कि जब यूएस ने अपना हाथ पुल कर दिया फ्रॉम द गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड. मतलब कि वी विल नो लॉन्गर बी प्रिंटिंग मनी बेस्ड ऑन हाउ मच ऑफ गोल्ड वी हैव. वो दूसरी कहानी है कि फोर्ट नॉक्स में इन्होंने हमारा कितना गोल्ड रखा हुआ है. काफी लोग कहते हैं दे आर जस्ट एम्प्टी शो ब्रिक्स, इन्होंने पीछे से सारा गोल्ड बेच दिया है. 71 के या 75 के बाद तो कभी उस फोर्ट नॉक्स का ऑडिट भी नहीं हुआ है.
Correct.
ऑडिट भी नहीं हुआ है, ना कोई रिपोर्ट प्रेजेंट की गई है. एंड कांग्रेस वाले मांगते रहते हैं, वो देते ही नहीं.
Correct.
मतलब ये देख लो. तो
Correct.
एंड बैक अराउंड 10 years बैक जर्मनी ने अपना 20-25% गोल्ड वापस मांगा था. 4 साल लगा दिए उन्हें वापस देते हुए, और जब दिए तो दूसरे ब्रिक्स थे. इन्होंने कहा ये तो हमने नहीं दिए थे आपको. तो कहा नहीं, हमने रीहाइपोथाइज कर दिया है. अब ये क्या होता है भगवान जाने. भाई ब्रिक्स थोड़ी ना चेंज होंगी. एंड व्हेन दे चेक्ड इट वाज एट 88% प्योरिटी.
That's right.
राइट, वो भी है. सो देयर इज अ बिग सेइंग कि इन्होंने आप सबका गोल्ड बेच दिया है. दैट वाज आल्सो वन ऑफ द थिंग्स हाउ some of the big names in US got the back end money. मैं नाम नहीं लूंगा, वो कुछ फैमिलीज हैं बड़ी बड़ी. अब जिसको जो वो एक हमारा ये यूट्यूब पे एक यूट्यूबर है, वो यही कहता है कि लोग गूगल करके कमेंट्स में नाम लिख दे. हाँ, मैं भी होता हूँ, गूगल करके कमेंट्स में नाम लिख दूं कि कौन सी वो फैमिली थी यूएस की जिसको शायद इसका फायदा हुआ था. ठीक है, हम दिखा देंगे.
That's right.
So after that gold standard removal, what it mean, and correct me if I'm wrong anyway, think I'm not a financial expert, मेरी जो basic general knowledge है सब तो बता रहा हूँ, which can be wrong as well. I'm happy to be corrected, right? तो उसके बाद there was no linkage. थोड़ा बहुत था, but there was not, वो direct linkages नहीं था, भी नहीं है कि. So now print money literally जितना उनकी मर्जी है. And if you start seeing inflation and rising up all across the world, आप देखो आपका डॉलर 1920s में उसकी वैल्यू क्या थी $1 की वर्सेस अभी क्या हो गई है. The dollar value has been tanking, and पिछले 20 साल में उसने तो बिल्कुल ही नोज डाइव लिया है, because they have been endlessly printing money. जब आपका 2008 फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस हुआ था, US printed money like crazy. और आजकल ये term printed money is also wrong. They don't even print that much money.
They don't even print anymore. It's an Excel spreadsheet, right? It's not like that Netflix show Money Heist, right? If you see that Netflix show Money Heist where they're printing inside of the press, that doesn't exist anymore. It's just an Excel spreadsheet, right? What Justin Trudeau did in mind.
Yeah. They just put an entry into, they just put an entry into their system, 1 billion currency printed, and the majority, क्योंकि आजकल currency digital हो गई है, बस आपके वो ट्रेजरी में आ जाएगा और वो फिर आगे बांटना शुरू कर देगी बैंक्स को. That's what it is. Very, अभी भी होता है प्रिंट, ऐसी बात नहीं है, बट अ वेरी स्मॉल अमाउंट ऑफ मनी गेट्स प्रिंटेड. मेजोरिटी तो ये डिजिटल है. अगर से फॉर एग्जांपल आपके पास आपके बैंक अकाउंट में 10 करोड़ है, आप कल बैंक चले जाओ, बैंक को बोलो मुझे 10 करोड़ दे दो, वो तो पहले आपसे 50,000 सवाल पूछेंगे, क्यों चाहिए. आधे तो मना कर देंगे, क्या वो कहेंगे किसी और बैंक में ट्रांसफर करना है आपको, कि नहीं मेरे को नोट चाहिए. एटलीस्ट इन यूएस वो तो आपको सीधा बोल देते हैं कि भाई 1 महीने बाद आना, कि इतना पैसा निकालने के लिए हमारे को बुलाना पड़ेगा. Because they don't have this real money. It's all in
That's right.
binary code कि भाई ये
That's
है.
right.
तो आप
And
जो ये पैसा
in
देखते हो अपने अकाउंट में, it's all just numbers. There is no majority physical, तो है भी नहीं. So now it comes कि since the countries can print money endlessly, the value of money is drastically going down. तो आप अगर से फॉर एग्जाम्पल अपने रिटायरमेंट के लिए सेव कर रहे हो, आपने अपना टारगेट बनाया कि भाई बाय द टाइम आई रिटायर इंडिया में इन नेक्स्ट 20 ईयर्स मेरे पास 10 करोड़ होना चाहिए. मैं अभी देख रहा हूँ कि इसके हिसाब से मैं आई शुड बी एबल टू लिव अ लाइफ. पता चले जब 20 साल हो जाएगा, जो 10 करोड़ इज इक्वलेंट टू 50 lakhs, बिकॉज
That's right.
आपके
Purchasing
रुपी की
power.
वैल्यू इतनी गिर गई है. हाँ, परचेजिंग पावर. जो पहले कोल्ड ड्रिंक आप 50-20 रुपए में लेते थे, और वो कोल्ड ड्रिंक ही 500 या 2,000 की हो गई है. तो वो 10 करोड़ हैज बिकम 50 lakhs. सो दे दैट इज द रीजन व्हाई आप अगर अभी you are in Gujarat, right? I don't know exact
Yeah,
location
yeah.
where
I'm
you
in
live.
Gujarat right
Yeah,
now in
yeah.
Baroda. Yeah, yeah.
So Baroda, yeah, Baroda is a tier 2 city. यहाँ पर भी अपार्टमेंट्स होंगे
Hmm.
70 लाख 80 लाख, करोड़ 2 करोड़, right? Right.
Yep,
And
yep, yep.
yeah, 10 years back यही अपार्टमेंट 20-20 लाख के धक्के खा रहे होंगे,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
but have you started tripling your income in the past 10 years? The answer is no.
No.
No, right? Yeah, you got 10%, 20%, but yeah, you haven't tripled or this, because even if you have tripled, the rest of everything has gone up as well. Petrol, everything. So in hand, you may be getting triple the amount, but your expenditures have gone far more because everything has gone so expensive. तो ये नहीं है कि हाँ मैं 3 times कमा रहा हूँ, बट भाई वो 3 गुना आपका स्पेंडिंग पावर 3 गुना से भी ज्यादा पड़ गया, क्योंकि कंपाउंडिंग फैक्टर है, राइट. एंड दैट इज व्हाई आप देखो योर पेरेंट्स, even with driving a Bajaj scooter, they were able to build a full house with far less resources than you, your partner, your brother working. साला एक घर की ईएमआई में 3-3 लोगों के आधे से ज्यादा पैसे निकल रहे हैं. So that
That's
is what
right.
is happening. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Now you continue. मैंने बहुत ज़्यादा time ले
No,
लिया.
and
You are
back
the.
in the day, no, you're so right. So back in the day, this is the argument I have with my dad all the time. And to get back to your original question, you said, what is the craze? Why is everybody getting into crypto? Well, it's because my mom didn't have to work. My dad was the only one working. He was able to start with a scooter, then he bought a car, then he bought this house. And why? It's because, like you said, the rupee or the dollar, the fiat was pegged to gold, right? They had to dig gold up out of the ground to print more. And that takes work. That was proof of work. When you take gold out of the ground, you smelt it down. Then on that gold, you put it in Fort Knox or you put it in Bank of Bermuda treasury. Then only can you print more money. So at that point, even if you were just one person in the family was working, they were able to build a house. Now, when it comes to millennials, people my age, now I went to high school in Markham. I'm not gonna dox too hard, but like out of my friend circle, only me and my other friend own a house. Everybody else is renting. Right? I'm almost 40 right now. Why is that? It's because the money is broken. Nobody wants to get into 30-year loans right now in Canada. Right? So, and both the partners are working. The wife is working and the husband is working. The husband's probably working 2 jobs or a weekend job, and they're not able to save. Right. So what do they do? Like, to get back to your original question, why is there so much hype in crypto? It's because the millennial generation I think Gen X is little bit. Gen X saw both sides of it. The older Gen X's might have seen the hard gold standard, and but the millennials, we've seen is multiple wars: Iraq, Afghanistan, 9/11, and then COVID. All we've seen is that, and we've never actually be able to save. So what do? Well, yeah, we get into speculative assets, right? And that's where we see how we can store our value or at least move up in the world. So that's to answer your original question, why is there so much hype? At least in my friend circle or people my age, not, well, I'm a hardcore Bitcoin maxi now, but why they go into crypto is because that's the only solution they see. They don't see a solution to get out of this fiat rat race, playing in the fiat rat race. You have to have another instrument to get out. And crypto is that instrument, or like for me, it's Bitcoin. And with that, what I tell people is Bitcoin is the only instrument. And we'll get into that. I'm sure we'll have plenty of arguments later on about that, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, and then yeah. So to answer that question, I think it's that. I think it's the millennial generation, and then the new generations. I mean, they're crazier than we are as millennials. I mean, they're going straight into meme coins, right? Trump coin, and they want 100x, and they want 200, and they want their Lambos, and yeah, there's a lot of volatility, but they don't see the fiat as any solution, right? Just like how you said, they're going to print. Every government prints. There's going to be no end to this money printer. And what a house in Bermuda used to cost, maybe a few lakhs. Yeah, now you're not going to get anything close to it unless you're talking in crores. You're not getting anything decent here, right? And we're a second tier city. I can't even imagine what property is in Mumbai or somewhere else, right? So yeah. And then yeah, now I think we
Yeah.
covered the history, right? We covered the history of crypto, prehistory. We covered Bitcoin. We covered the Bitcoin history. Then we covered the altcoins, and then we got to the present. And then now if we can move on to what is blockchain, right? So, and its importance and uses. So, you
Yeah.
good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blockchain. Yeah.
So what is blockchain? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So blockchain is a decentralized distributed ledger technology that records transactions from multiple computers in a secure and transparent and tamper resistant way. So the underlying technology behind Bitcoin and many other cryptocurrencies, I hate using that word, but because I'm talking to you, I'll continue doing that. So each block in the blockchain contains three things. It contains the data, which is what? It's the transaction details. It's the money you send to your kaka, I send to my masi. That's the transaction details. That's the number one thing in the block. The number two is a cryptographic hash of the block's content. So once we're done making all the transactions in that block, we hash it. And perhaps not now, but in a later space, we can get into deep technicals about what a hash is and how that works. And then the third thing is a reference hash to the previous block. Because remember, what this is a chain. It's a chain of blocks. So what started with the Genesis block had data. Okay, the data was Chancellor on the brink of second bailout. The cryptographic hash was SHA-256, and then the reference to the previous block. So the Genesis block didn't have a previous block; it was block zero. So when the block one was made, the reference was to block zero. Then when block two is made, the reference is block one. Then block three is made, block two is a reference. So the three things, so that way the chain maintains itself. So now what you have is that immutable ledger that you spoke of, right? So right now we're at block 888,000 something. I don't have the time chain calendar in front of me. So right now we're at around 800, almost close to 900,000 blocks. What that means is that block that right now is a tip, it has a hash to the previous block. It has data, which is all the transactions we're sending to each other right now, and the cryptographic hash of itself, right? So that's what a blockchain is. You have a, you want to add something, and then we can go into like the importance and
No, 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 no,
usage.
no, no. I'm a student right now. Yeah, that
Okay,
was a
okay, no worries,
very,
no worries.
very
So a
simple
few things.
explanation of a blockchain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it really simple. I'm just trying to keep it like really how I would speak to a friend right now. I'm trying to keep it like that. Okay, so the chaining of blocks ensures the immutability, right? So, like I explained. Now, meaning once a block is recorded in a blockchain, it can never be edited or deleted. Like when you open up a Word file, right? When you don't like something that your boss says, hey, get rid of that, you can edit it or delete it. Well, that doesn't really happen in a blockchain. It just moves on. You cannot alter it. So that's one of the beauties of a blockchain. It cannot be altered without altering all the blocks, right? So if you want, you would have to hard fork off the chain, create your own consensus mechanism. That's the only way you can edit anything. So now we get into the importance of blockchain. So there's like five things here. Decentralization is the main. So, unlike traditional databases, like what you would see, the network topography is you would see something like cloud or AWS, or you see distributed systems. Where in decentralization, what that means is unlike traditional databases controlled by a central authority, a blockchain is maintained by a distributed network of nodes. And we'll get into that later of what that means. Second is security and immutability, like I talked about. All the transactions are cryptographically secured and cannot be altered, right? Like they're preventing any hacking or anything like that. And the third is transparency. What we have in Bitcoin is the transactions are publicly verifiable, right? So it increases the trust and accountability. Then number four is the efficiency and cost reduction. So it removes the need for intermediaries. So example, banks, escrow services, your Swift network payments, which take like 14 days and they take like 10% if you're trying to move money from here to Botswana, or if I'm trying to move money from Toronto to Kenya, right? You can imagine the escrow services are going to take 10% on each side. So that reduction of transaction cost. And then the third, and then to add on to that is processing time. Now, any SWIFT payments, now, if you're doing any international payments, if you have international students who are going from India to coming to University of Toronto to study, well, when mom and dad send the money, guess what? It takes 14 days to get that money over to Canada, right? To pay for tuition, to pay for books, whatever it is. So what happens in blockchain is that time is reduced. And number five is a trustless system, right? Where transactions can be verified without relying on a third party. You can run your own node, running a $300 computer, an old Dell laptop, or an old Dell desktop, or a Pi, and you
Pi,
put a two
pi.
terabyte hard,
Yeah,
yeah, you put
I
a
don't know
two
what to tell you
terabyte
about
hard
pi.
drive in there.
Yeah.
Right, you put a 2 terabyte hard drive in there. You buy $100 Pi computer. Well, guess what? You're running the full ledger. You have every single transaction ever made on the Bitcoin network, and you can get to the
So,
tip of the network. You can verify all the transactions. So now, what you are is you're living in a trustless system, right? So these are, I would say, the top five, top six importances of a blockchain.
so I have a question. I have a question on that one. Right.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
my question is that why can't you break into the ledger and create your own entries
mhm,
and say that
mhm, mhm,
you create your own Bitcoin address, right? If
mhm,
I'm not wrong, something similar was tried with the Tether experience. I think 4 years
mhm,
back,
mhm,
4 or 6 years
mhm.
back, if I'm not wrong. So why do you say that the blockchain is a trustless but an unpenetrable system? So
All
why
right,
are you so
perfect.
confident? Yeah, if you
Okay,
could
so
answer that, yeah.
what happens in Bitcoin is we have an input and we have an output. So an input is my wallet. So I'm going to use me and you, all right? So I'm going to send you money. I'm going to send you Bitcoin. We have an input. I have one Bitcoin. I'm going to send you half a Bitcoin. My output is zero point 0.5 Bitcoin to you. I'm going to put, and I'm going to have I'm going to have one input. I'm going to have two outputs. I'm going to have your zero point 0.5 output. I'm going to have the 0.45 coming back to me, and I'm going to put a little bit of it to the mining fees to put it into the next block. When the miner sees that, He takes that transaction that's sitting inside of his mempool. He says, hey, look, HgX is trying to send ICs half a Bitcoin. He's paying me 0.005 Bitcoin to do that. So great, I'll take that. And when I start mining and when I find the nonce and I win that block and I'm able to put my transaction as a miner, I'm able to put all the transactions that I want into the next block. What happens is then that block is now sent to every single node on Earth. So once the miner puts that transaction into the next block, he then sends it to every single node around the Earth. So right now, we could assume there's around 10,000 to 60,000 nodes, Bitcoin nodes running around the world. Every single one of these nodes have a ledger entry that says I sent you half a Bitcoin. And then what happens as soon as that is done, another block is made on top of it. Once we're one block in, it's okay. It's not bad. Once we're 6 blocks in, that's pretty much. So it's like, think of it like
Yeah,
the
that's what I was
layers of
about to
mining.
ask you. That it's a six
The
verification
analogy I
method.
would use, yeah, the analogy I would use is ice in the Antarctic. So when you have a layer of slush on top of a pond of ice, that slush can move, right? That wind can blow that slush away. When you dig 3 inches into that ice, it's pretty hard. When you dig 3 kilometers down into that ice hasn't moved since like, the dinosaur age.
Ice ages.
That is the same analogy in Bitcoin. Once you're in, like, if you go 24 hours or let's say you go 100 blocks deep, that is now go dinosaur age. That's never moving. You would have to redo the entire chain, and right now it costs even the cheapest miner on earth. It costs them around $50,000-$60,000 to mine a block. To redo the entire chain, we're at block height 800,000. So you can think about how much energy you would need to
Computational power it
redo
will
the.
require. Yeah, computational
Not even
power.
that, just energy, just raw energy
So
that you have to
so
bring onto the network every 10 minutes
yeah,
just to go back one block.
so I have two questions for you, right?
Mhm.
One is you said half a Bitcoin. There is a term used for the fractional थिंग द बिटकॉइन
Mhm.
को जो अगर
Mhm.
तोड़ा जाए जैसे रुपए को तोड़ा जाए पैसे हो जाता है डॉलर को तोड़ा जाए पेनीज हो जाता है वैसे जब बिटकॉइन को तोड़ा जाए उसको क्या बोलते हैं व्हाट इज दैट
Satoshis. It's
कॉल्ड
named
सिटोशी
after, yes, it's named after Satoshi Nakamoto. So inside the network, this is one of the great things. Inside the network doesn't know about 21 million. It has no idea about it. That is something we humans use to kind of make it easy on us. What the network knows is there's 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. So because we don't want to take that unit, or very early on, the early adopters that said, hey, let's make 100 million Satoshis into one Bitcoin. Let's make it easier. Because you can imagine, if I'm mining 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, that's hard to say in like
या
quadrillions or billion. So they said, hey, let's make it easy on ourselves. Let's call 100 million Satoshis one Bitcoin. So one Bitcoin, when you break it down, you can say, I use the term half a Bitcoin, but yes, you can say XYZ amount of Satoshis, right? You can say 50 million Satoshis. So that's inside the network only knows Satoshis. We as humans call it Bitcoin, if that
right
makes
right
any sense,
yeah no
right?
that's right so the combination of satoshis 100 million satoshis makes one bitcoin right
Correct.
so yeah
Correct.
okay that makes sense जैसे
And
100 पैसे
anytime I
एक
want to
रुपया
send it
बनाता
to
था
you, but anytime I want to send it to you and make a ledger entry, I have to send, if I'm sending you half, I have to then output the rest remaining to myself, but I also have to pay the miner, right? Otherwise, the miner will never put it into the next block, and it's a competition. If I want to be in the next block, like let's say if I'm trying to send you Bitcoin in 10 minutes, I will make sure the miner fee is really high. But if me and you can wait, let's say you don't really need my Bitcoin for another week or so, then I'll keep the fees really low and eventually we'll get on the chain. Right? So
It's
that's
20
where the
minutes, if
two
I'm not
outputs
wrong.
come.
Right. The general
It's
time is
10
20
minutes.
minutes.
Generally, it's 10 minutes to get into the next block, right? But you need
Yeah.
6 confirmations. So
Yeah.
people like to wait a little bit more than that. But technically, a block comes out every 10 minutes, or that's what the network tries to do on the mining side. That's
Yeah.
where the difficulty adjustment comes in. And we'll get into later
No,
about
no, no. I was talking about
advanced
20
mining.
minutes, like when we were transferring bitcoins, right? Which I have done in the
Hmm.
past. It used to take around 20
Hmm.
minutes.
Hmm.
It might have reduced now. So, like, if I want to send it from एक exchange or Binance, right? Binance,
Huh.
say, if I want to send it to Wazirx, which is an Indian one, right?
Oh.
So it generally would take around 20 minutes for from one exchange to hit
Both
to the other
sides
one.
to handshake.
Yeah,
Both
because it
sides to
says
handshake.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 handshake. क्योंकि वो कहते थे first handshake done, second, third, then sixth is the final confirmation. तो वो पूरे checks जो six तक आने तक it used to take around 20 minutes. I haven't done it for a long time, so it might have either increased
No, it
or
usually
reduced.
takes more. So one confirmation, yeah, like it depends on how many people are transacting at that time, or if
Yeah,
there's an ordinal being printed, or if there's other things going on inside the network, or geopolitical issues are coming up. So you might see so much traffic in the mempool that you might not get into the block for like few hours, right? Because there's so many people outbidding you. So
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're willing to get into the next block for $100, well, if there was a big war happening, somebody's willing to pay $1,000 to get into the next block. So you're gonna
yeah.
have to wait, right? So it's all game theoretical in Bitcoin, and it's supply, market, and demand. That's what in Bitcoin is because there's
So,
no CEO, there's
इसको
nobody to
मैं
control it.
yeah, I'll make it the market demands
Uh-huh.
very simple. जैसे Uber की search pricing है ना, ये
Perfect.
इसकी इसकी गैस और नेटवर्क यूटिलाइजेशन प्राइसिंग है. So whenever you are sending bitcoin from one wallet to another one external wallet, uh, there is a charge which the network uses कि भाई आप मेरा network use कर रहे हो, you have to pay a very small amount, and that amount can vary up and down depending on the congestion in the network. अगर बहुत ज़्यादा demand है, as he rightly said, they will ask you to pay more because there are lot many people waiting in line. So whoever pays more gets the preference. अगर आपको जल्दी नहीं, you can put it in the line, और जब volume कम होएगी तो तब आपका number आएगा, and it will go that way. So it all depends when you are doing it.
Yeah, and like
Ethereum,
you said,
Ethereum was famous for it for gas fees, exorbitant amount of gas fees. उसको Ethereum
so
इसको
like you
gas
said,
fees बोलता
nobody's
था.
asking, right? Nobody's asking you, right? I see what it is if I'm a miner, I'm not asking you to pay more mining fees, right? It's just my mark. So as a miner, I will always take what's more profitable. If there's two transactions in the mempool that are giving me $100 and you are giving me $10, guess what? Game theory says that I will take the first $200 transaction and I will leave your transaction for a later block. That's just game theory, right?
Right,
So I'm not asking you to pay more. You can pay more. You can pay me $200 to get into the next
right,
block. That's truly a supply and demand marketplace, and Bitcoin lets the global marketplace decide what the mempool fee should be.
right. Okay, that's
So
interesting.
The Uber analogy is kind of perfect. That's exactly it. That when you
Yeah,
get out of a club at 2 in the morning, you know what?
right,
Uber prices are pretty expensive. They're very expensive at 2 in the morning when clubs end. But if you're trying to get to a club at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., yeah, it's pretty cheap. Nobody's going to the club at 9 o'clock in the afternoon and in the evening, right? So yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
correct. Now we will segue into the next one because
Are we
mining
running out of
with
time?
that's totally up to you. We can continue it another one because we already gone about 1 hour. 120
Yeah.
people have watched us on Twitter as of now, which is okay.
We haven't even
Mhm.
got to the second part. We can
No, no, we
maybe
can continue in
continue.
other parts.
No,
Who's
no,
telling
let's
us?
do. So I would say let's end it with the uses of blockchain. And then let's
Yes.
do another space where we do altcoin versus meme coin, and then we get into the other things, right? Because we spend a lot of
Okay,
time
but we need
studying
to
everything.
answer this, even though we will leave it for next time, but we will answer
Uh-huh.
the term he has used, सबसे बड़ा डैश डैश कॉइन कौन सा है? देखो भाई, अगर आप इनसे पूछोगे ये कहेंगे बिटकॉइन के अलावा सब कॉइन शिट कॉइन्स हैं, उनको ऑल्ट
I didn't
कॉइन्स
say it.
ऑल्ट
You said
कॉइन्स
it.
इनको क्या देखो ऑल्ट कॉइन्स एंड मीम कॉइन्स आर एनीथिंग व्हिच इज नॉट बिटकॉइन एंड मीम कॉइन्स विल गो नेक्स्ट वीक बट मीम कॉइन जैसे ट्रम्प कॉइन हो गया वो कार्टून कैरेक्टर्स
Correct.
पे जो हो गए थॉर कॉइन और ये व्हाट आई एम जस्ट मेकिंग सम अप तो दे आर कॉल्ड मीम कॉइन दे आर बेस्ड ऑन सम कैरेक्टर एंड ऑल्ट कॉइन्स आर जैसे आपके इथेरियम हो गया तो कॉइन भी नहीं बोल सकते वैसे ये आपके लाइट कॉइन हो गया या ऑल्ट कॉइन तो अगर आप इनसे पूछे तो सबसे बेस्ट शिट को देखो मेरे हिसाब से अगर आप ही विल से बिटकॉइन ओनली एम आई राइट ही विल नॉट से एनी अदर
That's
कॉइन
right. That's
बट
hundred
अगर अगर
percent.
आप
You got me
मेरे
100%.
या मेरे से पूछोगे अगेन आई एम नॉट अ फाइनेंशियल एक्सपर्ट राइट आई वुड से even though I would say ki you get first into Bitcoin, right? But if you want to go into other coins, the stable coins as of now, Ripple, Solana, Litecoin, ठीक है, and ये Doge. These are the four. और वो डॉज का वो कौन सा भाई है यार वो छोटा वाला
Shibinu, Shibinu.
शिबा इनू और whatever शिबा इनू or शिबा इनू these five you can look at but I would right now suggest you to stay away from this क्योंकि अभी मार्केट हाई है एक्सपेक्टेशन थोड़ा और गिरेगा वॉच कर लो अभी ठीक है बट अगेन वी आर वार्निंग यू वी आर नॉट फाइनेंशियल प्लानर्स राइट सो
No, no,
प्लीज
we're
कल
not.
को आपका लॉस हुआ मेरे पास मत आना राइट बिटकॉइन के बारे में और पढ़ना है तो कहाँ जाएं पहले तो आप देसी बिटकॉइन शो जाइए वहां पर आपके पास लाइव बोलने वाले एनसाइक्लोपीडियाज हैं वो आपको बता देंगे कि कौन से आपको किताबें पढ़े दे गेव मी अ बुक कि इसको पढ़ लेना if you remember which one it was HgX there was a book they said
The
to read
Bitcoin Standard. We
yeah the
usually tell you to
Bitcoin
read the
yeah
Bitcoin Standard
yeah
by Saifedean Ammous. And so the thing about that book is it's not about Bitcoin, it's about everything else. But everything else kind of leads to the Bitcoin Standard, right? And then
right
we can go, okay, so what I was thinking is let's end it with the uses of blockchain.
yeah
And next space, what we can do, the next space we can do the altcoin versus meme coin versus
hmm
Bitcoin. Then we can do why Bitcoin is different.
hmm
Then we can do Bitcoin mining versus big buying, when to mine or when to purchase. We can do that in the next space because otherwise, I think we're going to lose a lot of people. I think we've had a great space, and it'd be perfect if we ended it with use of blockchain, so that way
yeah
we can kind of keep it fresh for the next time as well.
right no perfect we don't want it to be a very long one want it to be
Yeah, because you
short
know
smart
how that is. Our audience, especially the Indian audience, they're looking at it. IPL भी नहीं है, आप क्या बकर बकर right? So yeah, so we talked about the importance of blockchain, right? We talked about the five things. Now let's get to the uses of blockchain. So we have the number one thing that I hate to admit is cryptocurrencies, right? It's the other digital currencies enabling peer-to-peer transactions without intermediaries. Then it's the use of smart chain is, and we'll get into this again later, is smart contracts.
hmm
So you asked me to explain what that is. So what that is a self-executing contract on the blockchain, like Ethereum, that execute automatically when predefined conditions are met. So if you remember, I said if A, B, and C are met, B happens automatically, right? So that's what a smart contract is, and we'll get to that in the next space. We'll get deeper into it. Then another use for blockchain is supply chain management. So this is the company that I used to consult for in Canada. It's an automotive OEM company. This is what they wanted the blockchain for. They wanted a supply chain management after COVID-19. They wanted it to track goods and production to delivery,
right
ensuring authenticity and reduction of fraud. Right up. you can imagine they're like over in Canada, we get a lot of fraud, and even here in India, there's a lot of fraud. So the supply chain management, it reduces that that fraud, right? Then we have the financial services. So reduces settlement time and cost of remittance. I spoke about that earlier when sending money from India to Canada, right? Lending and cross border payments. Then we have identity management. So what blockchain also does in other blockchains, it helps in securing digital identities, reducing identity theft, and enabling self-sovereign identity systems. So some of this is being implemented in UAE, where they are putting houses and properties and other things such as your healthcare on blockchain. So it's not like I am a Bitcoin maxi, but I've recently gone to Abu Dhabi and I've seen it firsthand that they are implementing some of this stuff, right? And so identity management, then there's voting systems, which I have seen in Silicon Valley, right, which enables transparency and tamper-proof digital voting for high-end companies or startup companies. They've started enabling this. Then I have a friend in Dubai. I'm not going to dox him, and he cares a lot about this, which is healthcare. And it ensures secure and immutable patient records, improving data privacy, and everything else that comes with that. And the last is real estate and tokenization. So these are some of the uses of blockchain. And I only did this because IC asked me to. I'll be pretty straightforward.
No, because see, I think we should do a separate
And I
session.
wanted to come at you. I see. So I wanted to come at this with a little bit of Bitcoin maxi toxism, but not too much. I wanted to
Yeah,
meet you halfway, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
see, if I just do the toxicity thing, this speech or this call of ours would only last 20 minutes. I wanted to meet you
Right,
halfway. I wanted to be like,
right.
okay, let me see what they're thinking. Let me meet you halfway. Maybe I can convince some of your listeners to come on my side, join
Mhm.
the dark side, so to
I think
speak.
I think it's just the trailer right now, and the more we
Mhm,
talk
mhm.
about the jargons जो है हम यूज करते हैं वो एक नॉर्म हो
Huh,
जाएगा. Maybe next time we can also show them charts कि भाई had you
sure.
invested at this point of time and why you guys are hodlers. वो एक बड़ा important term है.
Huh,
वो hodlers. And then
correct.
वो anonymity के ऊपर कि जैसे once I had an argument बड़ा एक अच्छा था. I'm slightly diverting it because I am one of the guys who goes there and generally gets into argument with all these guys because ये बड़ा purest bitcoiners हैं. तो मैं इनको एक आर्ग्यूमेंट मैंने कहा कि यार तुम बिटकॉइन तो खरीदते रहते ही हो पर तुम्हारे को कल को पेमेंट करनी है उबर की तुम्हारे को यू नीड रियल
That's
करेंसी
right.
तुम्हारे को टिकट खरीदनी
That's
है
right.
प्लेन की यू नीड रियल करेंसी. That's when they showed me few things and I said okay, this is getting interesting now. So I
Mhm,
तो वो
mhm.
भी then later on we'll show कि how off grid जा सकते हैं. And then
That's
later
right.
on I want to talk about ये सबसे जरूरी चीज है not right now but in later shows we can talk about is why holding your coins in an exchange is like taking a gun on your head and
That's right. It's the
why
worst.
we yeah and what is the effective strategies of moving your coins be it bitcoin or be it other altcoins as well on
Mhm.
offline platforms, right? यार वो भी
That's
बता
right.
देना वो वैसा 16
Cold
digit
storage. What we like to
cold
call
yeah
is cold
cold
storage.
storage yeah. Warm storage for everybody is जो आप exchanges पे रखते हो. Cold storage is what रहता है. And only thing I'll give as a piece of history, there was a very famous case. What happened was इंडिया में भी हैक हो गया था, राइट? तो फिर वो काफियों के बिटकॉइन गए थे. बट द बेस्ट वन इज आई थिंक 3.5 years back there was a guy who was running exchanges. यार ये अभी तक हम सारे regulated नहीं हुए हैं इतना, अब हो रहे हैं. And there was this guy who was running a successful exchange, right? He had the
Mhm.
keys for the wallets, right? The master key, right? And
That's right.
he died of a heart attack. और सबके कोल्ड स्टोरेज वाले, जो कोल्ड स्टोरेज, इनके पास भी कोल्ड स्टोरेज, वो फंस गए बिकॉज वो मास्टर की उसके दिमाग में थी. दे आर आस्किंग हिज वाइफ, मेरे को क्या पता भाई. एंड दिस एक्चुअली हैपेंड. नेक्स्ट टाइम हम
That's
नाम वाम
right.
भी ये किस्से भी लेके आ जाएंगे.
Huh.
एंड
We'll take
दैट इज
everything.
या
I'll bring all the details next time.
या
And
या या
one of the exchanges was a Canadian guy. So he was known for stealing like a tremendous amounts of Bitcoin.
या
And we don't know if he committed suicide or if he's really dead or if he's on an island in Fiji somewhere enjoying life. We don't know. And we'll get into all of that. But yeah,
Yeah,
I think
and we'll
today was a
also,
great
when we get that, we'll also discuss the world's greatest crypto queen fraud, known as OneCoin.
start.
Dr. Ryuja, whatever it was. You know what I'm talking about, right?
I
That
know
OneCoin
exactly
lady.
what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yep,
The
yep.
OneCoin lady. Yeah. No, you can finish it. And I have opened it for Q&A. You guys have time while he finishes it. So any quick question which were जो अभी तक discuss हुआ है. Otherwise, we'll call it a day. Yeah, please,
Yeah,
please.
we'll take
We are
questions now.
already over time. Yeah.
I wanna save everything we. I think we ended on a great note here. I've been taking notes on my iPad about what we want to talk about next time. So
Mm-hmm.
let's leave everything for the next time. I think we've done good today, and yeah, we should go into Q&A right now. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Let's see if people are asking questions. Otherwise, then so be it.
And I
We got
think it's
like
the first time I
Mhm.
think they'll warm up to the questions. I think today was a good
Yeah.
start. I think we'll bring more juicy things next topic where we'll get the people in. We'll get more people to bring their questions out. But yeah, today was a great
Yeah. Yeah.
start.
Yeah. Yeah. Now with I'll say the last one. I don't think it's a question, but it's a
Mhm.
comment, and it says inventing Bitcoin. I don't know. Do you mean to say create another Bitcoin? We'll talk about that also at a later stage. If you mean, if I
Sure,
understand the
I can
question,
get it.
is
I can
that
give
can
you a
you
little
invent? Yeah.
preview. I can get a lot of people have tried. So there's
Mhm.
Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. A lot of
Yeah.
people have tried
Yeah.
to create a better Bitcoin. And if you look at their charts, and don't look at the charts against fiat, don't look at Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin Satoshi Vision against dollars. Look at it against in terms of Bitcoin. And then that tells you the whole
Yeah.
story, right? So if you look at
Yeah.
BSV,
Yeah.
you look at BCH against Bitcoin, so you bring up that chart,
Yeah.
and that tells you the entire story of which network you should be on.
Yeah. So if you could re say the re
So I
tell
would
the name
say
of the book.
Uh, the Bitcoin Standard by Saifuddin Amos. And that's what we
Mhm.
tell everybody to kind of start off with. That's kind of like the Bitcoin Maxi. That's kind of like our Bible, right? That was their first guy, and he was the first one to it. And there's many other books, many other excellent, like you can get into Anthopoulos, where mastering Bitcoin, if you're into programming or software, I would tell you to go into mastering
Yeah.
Bitcoin or grokking Bitcoin. But if
Yeah.
you're a beginner and you
Yeah.
don't really know about crypto, you don't really know about blockchain, you don't know about software, you know a little bit about fiat, you see a problem in the world, I would say read the Bitcoin Standard. First of all, you don't have to buy the book. Safe has made it open source, so you can go download it, download the PDF. It's not illegal. He's made it so you
So
can do it.
can we do one thing?
Mhm.
After this, you send me the link. I
Sure.
will tweet that link out.
Okay.
Right?
What I have,
Uh,
I actually bought the book. You give me a few hours to find the link. So I don't want people to download
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
illegal torrents. I want them to go to the original stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
I actually bought the book, and so I'll get and the Bitcoin. Anybody who joins DBS and Daisy Bitcoin Show, we have the PDF. We can send you the PDF over Twitter. It's on our Google Drive, but I'm going to find you the official link. I'll send you the link so that way you can tweet it out from your Twitter account, and we'll go from there. But yeah, it's the Bitcoin Standard, and it's on Amazon right now. I'm looking at it. In India, it's around 1,000 rupees for the hardcover. You can get the paperback for even cheaper than that, and but we'll get you. I'll get you the link give me an hour, so I'll get you the link.
Oh, I just checked the archive.org और मैंने Bitcoin standard किया. The second hit is the archive.org उसमें
Perfect.
PDF पड़ा हुआ है.
Perfect. There you go.
You can download and no, I've got the steadfast as well.
So
It
I see
is, if I'm
it's
not,
totally legal. Saifedean has made his book open source, so you're not
yeah,
doing
I've got that link. Yeah,
yeah, you're not doing anything
yeah,
legal by
I've got that.
downloading his book. He has made it open source.
Yeah, yeah. I've, oh, it's a Bing आ गया है.
Oh, that's
तो पूरा
perfect. Yeah, I
Bing का
see
वो.
it. I see the link.
Then I'm gonna retweet it because it's by audiobook and this here it is. Yeah, yeah. I've put it on the chat, but I'll put the whole thing as well, and you can, if you are smart enough, if you are smart enough, when you get the Amazon link, whoever is smart enough, what they can do is they can put their own referral link and then tweet it.
Mm,
So whenever somebody actually buys it from Amazon, you get a small commission out of
that's
it.
very
They're being
smart.
smart about it.
Look
Yeah,
at that. Look at that.
yeah,
Good job out of you.
yeah, yeah. So you can do that. You'll get some free money if you are already a referral. Use that referral link, create the referral link, and then tweet it. So the guys will also be happy because you are sending them the official Amazon link, and plus you might earn money on the side. All right. With that, I think we should call it a day.
Perfect.
If you could just stay online while I finish it. But thank you, everybody. We have 100 and let me just 1 second. Let me oh yes, the Desi Bitcoin show. Yes,
There we go.
and with that, I will end the stream. I really appreciate you coming here.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
so much,
Thank you for
brother.
having me.
Yeah,
This
and
was
we
fun.
hopefully, yeah,
And
it'll be
I
a
definitely
longer
am looking
12.
forward to the next time we do this. And we got to get to like the
Yeah.
other four questions that we were trying to get to. We thought we would have an hour. I told you we need way more than an hour. But yeah, this was excellent. This was great. I think this was a lot of fun.
Right. With that, we'll end. It's exactly going to be 1 hour 31 minutes, and we are